What looked like a routine search for the Minnesota Vikings' next general manager may actually reveal something much bigger happening behind the scenes inside the organization. And if you pay close attention to the names being interviewed, the timing of these conversations, and especially the way the franchise handled Sam Darnold and J.J. McCarthy, there's one conclusion becoming impossible to ignore. Kevin O'Connell's influence inside the Vikings building may now be stronger than ever before. The Vikings are officially moving forward with the second round of interviews for their GM position, and while several respected names are on the table, the organization may already be telling us exactly what kind of power structure they want moving into the future. If you're riding with SKOL Nation no matter what, smash that like button and drop a SKOL Vikings down in the comments so I know the real fans are here. The first name drawing major attention is interim general manager Rob Brzezinski, a longtime Vikings executive who has been with the franchise since 1998. And here's where things start getting very interesting for Vikings fans. This is not a normal GM hiring cycle. Usually, when a new general manager arrives, he takes over before free agency, before the NFL draft, before major roster decisions are made. But that is not the case here. The next GM walking into Minnesota will inherit a roster that has already gone through the biggest stages of off-season construction. The draft is over. Free agency decisions are already made. Most of the remaining decisions will involve roster cuts and depth management. That changes everything. Because if the Vikings believe Kevin O'Connell and Brian Flores are already controlling the football vision of this team, and there's growing belief inside league circles that they absolutely are, then Minnesota may not even be looking for a traditional roster architect. They may instead be looking for someone who complements the structure already in place. That is exactly why Rob Brzezinski suddenly makes so much sense. For years, Brzezinski has quietly become one of the most respected salary cap specialists in football. He understands contracts. He understands roster flexibility. He understands how to maneuver financially when coaches identify the players they want. And if O'Connell and Flores truly have major influence over personnel decisions, then Brzezinski becomes the ideal partner because he doesn't need to control the football vision. He simply needs to make it work financially. That possibility should grab every Vikings fan's attention, because this could represent a major philosophical shift inside the organization. Instead of the GM being the dominant football authority, Minnesota could be building a structure where the coaching staff drives the roster strategy, while the general manager operates more as an executive facilitator. And honestly, after watching the aggressive moves the Vikings made recently, it's not hard to see why ownership might trust O'Connell with that kind of influence. But Brzezinski is not the only serious candidate. The Vikings are also interviewing Broncos assistant GM Reed Burkhardt, another respected executive with direct ties to successful roster building. His background with Denver matters because the Broncos have quietly developed one of the better reputations in the NFL when it comes to finding undervalued talent and maximizing free agent contracts. And there's another important connection here: George Paton. Paton's executive tree continues to receive respect around the league because of how consistently his personnel departments identify talent. So when Minnesota looks at someone like Burkhardt, they're not just evaluating an individual. They're evaluating the system he comes from, the talent evaluation process he learned under, and whether that mindset could fit with the Vikings' current trajectory. Then there's Terrence Gray, a name longtime Vikings fans should immediately recognize. Gray has deep roots in Minnesota's scouting history, and when you start looking at some of the players connected to his tenure, the list becomes incredibly impressive. Harrison Smith, Danielle Hunter, Stephon Diggs, Eric Kendricks, Xavier Rhodes, Anthony Barr, Kyle Rudolph. Those are franchise-defining names. And while no scout or executive deserves 100% credit for every successful draft pick, Gray's fingerprints being connected to multiple foundational Vikings players is something ownership absolutely cannot ignore right now, especially because his recent years with the Buffalo Bills only strengthen his resume even further. Despite criticism Buffalo sometimes receives for failing to fully capitalize on Josh Allen's championship window, the Bills have quietly become one of the NFL's most efficient drafting organizations. According to the discussion surrounding Gray's candidacy, Buffalo has maintained one of the league's lowest bust rates over nearly a decade. That consistency matters. The Vikings know they cannot afford another quarterback miscalculation after what happened with J.J. McCarthy. And even though the organization still hopes McCarthy can develop into the long-term answer, there's no denying the pressure surrounding the situation has intensified dramatically. Which brings us to the other massive storyline emerging from all of this: Sam Darnold. For the first time since leaving Minnesota, Darnold publicly addressed the Vikings' decision not to bring him back. And while he took the high road publicly, his comments carried much more weight than some fans may realize. Darnold praised the organization. He praised J.J. McCarthy. He said he understood the business side of the decision, and on the surface, it sounded respectful and professional. But underneath those comments sits one brutal reality Vikings fans still have not fully recovered from. Minnesota let a quarterback walk away after a 14-win season, and then watched him go win a Super Bowl elsewhere. That alone would have been painful enough. But what made the situation devastating for the fan base was what happened next with McCarthy. Expectations exploded after the Vikings committed to him as the future of the franchise. The organization believed he was ready. The coaching staff believed he was ready. The front office believed he was ready. And then everything collapsed. According to the discussion in the transcript, McCarthy struggled badly early, battled health issues, and the Vikings' offense completely unraveled during stretches of the season. Suddenly, the decision to move on from Darnold stopped looking bold and started looking catastrophic. And that is exactly why this GM search matters so much more than people think. Because whoever gets this job will immediately be tied to one of the most emotionally charged periods in recent Vikings history. Do the Vikings double down on their current structure around Kevin O'Connell? Do they bring in a fresh evaluator with stronger control over personnel? Or do they continue building a coach-driven system where roster construction supports the vision already established inside the building? Right now, every sign points toward Minnesota wanting alignment more than anything else. And honestly, Vikings fans should probably prepare themselves for Rob Brzezinski becoming the favorite. The internal familiarity is there. The financial expertise is there. The trust already exists. And maybe most importantly, he wouldn't disrupt the current power balance that appears to already be forming between O'Connell and Flores. But the pressure attached to this decision is enormous. Because if Judy McCarthy struggles again next season, every single move connected to this power structure will come under a microscope unlike anything this franchise has seen in years. And Vikings fans know it. After everything that happened with Sam Darnold, this franchise cannot afford another quarterback disaster. So now the question becomes, are the Vikings building the right leadership structure to finally stabilize this organization for the long term? Or are they doubling down on the very system that already let a Super Bowl quarterback walk out the door? SKOL Nation, I want your honest opinion on this. Who should really become the next Vikings general manager? Rob Brzezinski, Terrence Gray, John McKay, or someone else entirely? And do you still believe the Vikings made the right decision moving on from Sam Darnold? Drop your thoughts below. Don't forget to click the like button and subscribe to the channel to stay informed about everything that's happening. Go Vikings!